I want to say a few words today about Playas and the Vanishing Act. And many of us, myself included, have known people who have just disappeared after a date or two. And I just wanted to say a few words today about that issue of players in our lives that happen to disappear somewhere along the line. And sometimes it's after one night, or sometimes it's after a date or two. Sometimes it's after a considerable long time. And we often are left wondering what on earth happened there. And it can leave many of us with lots of questions and doubts sometimes about ourselves and our desirability. And so I wanted to say a few words today and to just give it a few hints, actually, possibly, as to why this disappearing act happens with the players in our lives. And just wanted to be able to put some minds at rest, really, because when these types of scenarios go on, and sometimes if they happen a few times over and over again, it can be quite damaging, really, to our self-esteem and our confidence and our feelings of desirability for the future. So I wanted to say a few things about just why these things may happen, so that we can put them into perspective and not to take on board so much of the blame when other people tend to disappear and leave our life without us knowing why, apparently. So one of the things that I've noticed with players in our lives is that often they will get bored very easily, particularly narcissistic players. They do tend to get bored quite easily, and they do tend to have the sort of mindset that says, well, you know, I want lots and lots of different options, and this person apparently isn't coming up to the grades, and I don't want to limit myself to just one, because that seems really boring, you know, because I'm a player after all, and I'm meant to be out there playing away rather than being tied down to one situation. So one of the reasons why some players disappear and vanish in a puff of proverbial smoke is that they may have just got bored and they want to see what else is out there so that they can jolly things up a bit in their life, and they don't get tied down to one person, because some players see themselves as their man or a woman about town, and as someone who can attract lots and lots of different people. So it's really, as far as players are concerned, a lot of the time it's about the ego and fulfilling those egoic needs to have lots of partners and not to feel hemmed in and tied down to one person, because that to them is boring and that's not the persona that they have as far as their own identity is concerned. They think anyway. So one of the reasons could be that they just got a little bit bored, really. And often players don't emotionally and psychologically invest a lot of energy in the situation anyway. So, and that's one of the reasons why people get bored in relationships, is because it's kept at a shallow level and it doesn't go very deep. And so the boredom often comes along because there isn't very much depth to the relationship. And sometimes people make judgments about a partner before really getting to know who they are. And so that sort of also affects the longevity of the relationship, as it were. And some people are just unable to emotionally go any deeper because of their own issues. And so it's quicker for some players to just up and go down the road, never to be seen again. And of course, this is where we get the ignoring of emails, letters, and texts, or whatever it is, phone calls, so that they take the easy roads, and it's easier to just disappear and not have to be accountable for their behaviour. So that's one reason why some players may just up and disappear, because it's the easiest thing to do. Another reason, of course, could be when someone who is a player type person has actually been playing the field and has actually met someone who they perceive to be better and more worthy of them, particularly if they're very narcissistically inclined, and that they may come to the conclusion that this person isn't quite making the grade, as it were, in some form or other, and so they may have targeted someone else, and therefore once they've got this other person firmly under their wing, as it were, and drawn in and seduced, they then may realise that the easiest thing to do is to just disappear and go and get on with their new plaything that they've found, so that they don't have to face any sort of disruption or any feelings of guilt, because they've actually apparently not done anything wrong. They've just moved on to someone else who is a little bit more agreeable to their agenda, shall we say. So that's another reason also. But my reason for doing this video is really to say that, none of these issues, which are other people's issues really at the end of the day, need to bother us to a great extent, because that is that person showing us what their character is. So we can learn an awful lot when these situations happen, because we can stand back and we can evaluate after the event just who that person was by their behaviour. Because if we want to formally finish an arrangement or a relationship, we would do so in a polite manner and in a compassionate manner, if we can generally, rather than just disappearing and taking the easy route. So sometimes we have this feeling of he loves me or she loves me and they love me not feeling. That there was this lovely, amazing period at the beginning, this honeymoon period. And then, just when we thought everything was amazing, they up and disappear. Because from our perspective, there was so much potential. But our perspective isn't always the other person's perspective. And it doesn't always fall in line with their agenda, which may be to just file through many different partners over time. Because some people just want to go through life having numerous partners and numerous different experiences with different people. And they don't necessarily have the desire or even the ability to be able to commit to one person. And that could be for a whole number of reasons. But from our end, sometimes if someone up and disappears in a puff of smoke, we are often left to pick up the pieces. So I wanted to say to those of you out there, if this has happened to you, and you've had that feeling of he loves me not. It could have been because they've been dipping in and out as and when to keep the situation and the relationship alive for as long as it takes until potentially they found someone else along the way. So the good news is that we can learn a lot from these lessons to have in our safe relationship toolbox, and we can learn for the future to be able to have conscious awareness of what may be happening, and also to be able to set boundaries with ourselves and other people so that we don't attract situations whereby the other person feels that they're able to just dip in and out and potentially disappear. As always, stay safe and very happy. Bye-bye.